What was the worst job interview you've ever had? A while ago, I applied for a coordinator position at a nonprofit that did educational outreach. Nothing fancy, steady hours, decent pay, mission driven work. I had most of the experience they were looking for, so I felt fairly confident going in. The interview was with the department manager. When I walked into the room, she barely made eye contact. No handshake, no, thanks for coming in, just a nod toward the chair and a quick, let's get started. I told myself not to read too much into it. Maybe she was having a rough day. But it didn't get better. She asked pretty standard questions. Tell me about a time you had to manage a deadline. How do you handle competing priorities? That sort of thing. I gave clear, specific answers. I mentioned a time I organized a small fundraising event from scratch, with a short timeline, how I managed volunteers, kept track of details, and adjusted when something didn't go as planned. She didn't respond. She just looked at me for a few seconds and then moved on to the next question. No follow up, no acknowledgement. And this kept happening. Every time I answered, there was either silence or something like, interesting, in a flat tone. Not rude exactly, just distant, dismissive. About halfway through, I started feeling unsure. I began second guessing myself. I even wondered if I had misunderstood the role or said something wrong. But toward the end, her tone shifted. She suddenly became much friendlier, smiled a little, and said, "Thanks for staying patient. We like to keep a little pressure on during interviews to see how people handle it." Then she asked if I'd be open to meeting the director if I moved on to the next round. I nodded and thanked her, but when I walked out, something didn't sit right. I kept thinking, if they treat people like that in an interview when they're supposed to be making a good impression, what would it feel like to work there every day? They called me a week later with an offer. I turned it down. It wasn't an easy choice. I needed a job. But I've learned that how someone treats you when they don't have to says a lot about how they'll treat you once you're on the team.